Hello and welcome to Season 2 of our First Baptist Church on Fifth podcast. Last season, we heard a number of conversations from our church's members who all answered the same 5 questions about their faith and doubt, about community and hope. This season, we're focusing on the 100th anniversary of our church house. We've been nestled right here on 5th Street in Winston-Salem for 100 years. And oh, if these walls could talk. Our conversations this season will tell a bit about our sacred space, its history, what it means to us, how we use the space and are sent from it. But our conversations will also broaden to the experience of sacred space in general, how we find home in sacred spaces, what sacred space means to communities and neighborhoods and cities, what formation happens, and how then we live. Join us this season for the First Baptist Church on Fifth podcast. And thank you for listening. Hello, and welcome to the First Baptist on Fifth podcast. We're so glad you're joining us today as I'm joined by 3 wonderful guests today as we kick off our 100th anniversary of the church house and hear about a recent event we did in our church's life called The Longest Table. So thank you for joining us today. With us, we have Mary Kaler right here to my right. Mary is our associate pastor for newcomers, young adults, and community engagement. Very long title around here. Then we have Bethany Leggett. Bethany is the Director of Strategic Communications and Marketing in the Dean of the College at Wake Forest. Yes. And we have Race Lamb, who is the founder and financial educator at Reverend Money. What a treat to have you 3 here today. Bethany and Race are the co-chairs of our church's community engagement ministry team. And Mary is our staff liaison, among other things, staff liaison for our 100th anniversary task force. So that's where we're going to start today. Mary, tell us about the 100th anniversary. What are we doing? Tell us what we're celebrating and why we're marking it.
Yeah, so we are marking a century of our church house here at 501 West 5th Street. This is the 3rd church house of our congregation, and our celebration is titled 100 on 5th, Home in the Heart of the City. And we are taking a few months to reflect on what has happened in this spot over the past century, the people that have worshiped here, the ministries that have formed, the organizations that have started here and gone on and continue to do good work in our community, as well as dream about what happens in the next 100 years. We know our congregation is over 150 years old. We marked that milestone in 2022. And we know that our church is more than our building. But there is something special about the place where we gather weekly, the place where we grow in our relationships and in our walk with God. And that's what we're celebrating, is this place where we gather, knowing that our lives take us outside of the physical place, but marking the milestone here at 501 West 5th. For all that God has done and for all that God promises to do.
I love it. I'm on board. Yes. Let's do let's do some anniversaries celebration. So is there anything else about what it means to be home in the heart of the city that you want to share for us today as we kind of frame the longest table that we're about to talk about?
Yeah. So often at First on Fifth, we talk about being in the heart of the city. We are downtown Winston-Salem. We're in the middle of everything. Emily, you remind us often, we, out of our back door is Crystal Towers. Out of our left is Benton Convention Center. Out our front is 500 West 5th, 4th Street, lots of apartment buildings. And then down to the right, we've got the dwelling and the West End neighborhood. And we find ourselves in this special place, this kind of convergence of, the representation of Winston-Salem. And this is where the congregation of 100 years ago chose to place themselves. And this is where we've chosen to be year after year after year. This is where we want to do our work. This is the community that we are a part of. And this is the community that we're committed to. And that's a big part of the celebration is it's not just the building.
Yes.
It's the place that we take up.
Yes.
And the community that surrounds us and how that community informs who we are and informs our ministries and how we best engage with our community.
I love that. Thank you so much. Yeah. So from this framing of what it means to be home in the heart of the city, we held an event here at First on Fifth back on October 5th on what is World Communion Sunday for Christians worldwide, called The Longest Table. And you two were kind of in charge, spearheaded our efforts. So tell us, Bethany, tell us about The Longest Table. What is it, and what did it mean for our church to participate?
It was so exciting. When we first kind of pitched the idea to the task force, it was this really wonderful pie in the sky moment where the Longest Table is a community across the nation that it looks different in every city, but some organization within that city will host an event where they shut down a block, maybe a little bit more, and have a big table, exactly what it sounds like. And they invite the community to share a meal. And so we were thinking, oh, it'd be great, World Communion Sunday. We've heard of Longest Tables in other places, but as far as we know, Winston has never hosted one before. So it'd be a really great time to live out Jesus's table ministry on World Communion Sunday right outside our church between Poplar and Spruce, and to shut that down. Now, Mary had to do all of the work to actually help get the city to figure out how to actually shut down.
Yeah.
There's a lot of logistics behind the scenes that goes into it, and we definitely have learned all of the hands that it takes to really put a table like this together, because it is a process that involves table hosts who are going to host the 6 people at their portion of this long table. And then it requires a lot of physical movement of just moving 100 plus chairs and reaching out to our community members to get extra tables and to fit, I forgot how many, 40 tables that we had?
Tables.
Yeah, and so we actually had a really unique table. We had 2 longest tables to fit within our space because we had so much interest, which is a lovely, lovely situation to have. So it was a really dynamic way to bring, as Mary said, the church outside of the physical building, but still land it in our community. So we invited families from Crystal Towers, from the dwelling, from all across. And then we had a lot of people who just walked up too, which was really, really nice to see. So I was at the registration table, and it became this thing where if somebody walked up, I said, "Hey, are you here to have dinner with us?" And that was their little intro to figuring out. And some came with requests. They really wanted a burger or pizza. And the beautiful thing about the Longest Table is that each table host gets to bring their favorite food. And that becomes a conversation starter too. So it was a fun night, beautiful weather. We got to eat al fresco with our friends and neighbors and do something fun on the grounds of our church.
Love it. Okay, one follow-up question. If I'm listening to this and I am a member of a church somewhere and I love this idea and I want our church to do it, is the church invited, or what role does the congregation play? Tell us about that.
That's a great question. So for our team as community missions, we really wanted to be the hosts and leave most of the availability at the table for our community members. Yeah. So it was a chance to have some members of our congregation really take that leadership role and come up with their table, and the decorations were really stunning. There was quite a few different themes. We did not give out prizes, but maybe we'll do that next year. But there was creativity and there was help behind the scenes with volunteering. But when it came to the actual event, it was really important for us as the community missions group to really focus on making sure we had availability for those who registered in advance in the community and for walk-ups. So we would be able to feed anybody who was interested that day.
You know, it's an unusual thing in churches, in church life in general, to introduce an event and then say to your people, you're not invited.
You're not allowed to come.
You're not allowed to come unless you host a table.
Unless you cooked, yeah.
Unless you cook or cater, for 6 people. But yeah, we could have filled, I think we could have filled 5 blocks of tables with interest from First on Fifth.
Yeah.
So it was a very conscious effort. So any church looking to organize their own event really needs to focus on what their needs are. Is it a community outreach? And if so, this is not Sunday on the lawn. This is something very unique and special, and it's about the community and bringing everyone together to this long table.
Yes.
And so You have to be intentional about it when you set it up.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Thank you. So, Race, I want you to piggyback on that just a little bit, because this event wasn't just one off, in the middle of the year. This is an intentional piece of our 100th anniversary that Mary told us about being home in the heart of the city. So why do you think the longest table was an important piece of that? Like, what connects what we did that night to this anniversary? And what do you think it means for our church to be with our neighbors like this?
Absolutely. So as I think about our reasoning for celebrating this 100th anniversary, being in this beautiful building, in this beautiful location of Winston-Salem, it's a opportunity for us as a community to really take time to reflect on who we are, what we value, and what we see as our mission in the local spaces that we operate within. And I think it's very easy for any congregation, any church to get very siloed.
Yes.
There's those of us who come, we worship inside the church doors on Sunday, and then we leave, and we don't necessarily engage any of our neighbors on a day-to-day basis. And we're fortunate to have a very diverse congregation here at First on Fifth, where we do have folks who live and call downtown Winston-Salem home, but we also have folks who drive in from outside of Winston-Salem to come and worship us or worship with us on any given week. So events like the Longest Table is an opportunity for us to do an identity check, in my opinion, and really remind ourselves of why we are rooted in this place and the work that exists just beyond our front door. So we don't necessarily have to commit all of our energy and all of our work to international missions or to building, strategic partnerships across the country. While those are great and that work is also necessary, there's also so much opportunity for us right here where we are. And as the Longest Table is concerned, I think we would all agree with this, that food is a very sacred part of the religious experience. So there is something very intimate and sacred about sitting down with a neighbor that you don't know and getting to know a little bit about who they are, their story, why they call this place home, their lived experience, and sharing that over a home-cooked meal or a catered meal, over a beautifully decorated table. That is, shows the creativity of all of our church members as well. And there's just something really sacred about that. So as we celebrate this sacred space, this beautiful and sacred space, it's a way that we are kind of bridging the hopes of generations past with kind of the dreams of generations future and how those collide in our local community.
I'm going to piggyback off of that because I think I'm just thinking now as Race, as you're talking, the Longest Table, I think for us was a really good practice. We say we're here and we welcome all people. And for certain people, we have a beautiful space. It's intimidating, I think, for many people.
Sure.
And for us to be out on the street in front of the church, saying to people, as people were walking by, do you want to join us for a meal? Or even the people who had seen about the Longest Table and wanted to join, for us to, it's one thing to say, there's a place for everybody. We welcome all people. But really to set up tables and then to say sit down and have a meal with us. It allows us to put those words into practice.
Yes. Yes. And, I saw that on the night of the Longest Table. So you just had to take a look around to see and talk to some of our neighbors who were there to hear, these two women saw an ad on Facebook and they didn't know what it was about and they wanted to come and eat some fried chicken. And then one of our neighbor churches just down the street, their entire youth group came. And so watching these teenagers interact with other teenagers that were here from our church, but then their neighbors and sort of seeing how they felt out what it means to be a downtown church. And then the folks that just walked right up. There was a woman that was out for a walk and she decided just to sit down and join us. And those stories were really meaningful to me to appreciate sort of the range of folks right outside our doors, like you just said.
Yeah. And we intentionally made the space.
Yeah, absolutely.
And really, and I think that was one of maybe the biggest anxieties of our table hosts was they didn't know who was going to sit at their table.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's I'll host a table because church people are going to be there. It'll be great.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing. To say, yeah, I'm going to host a table for whoever's going to sit down.
Mm-hmm.
And I think our table hosts, as excited as they were, there was a lot of anxiety around that unknown.
Yeah.
But every single one of them talked about after the event how wonderful it was. And, this person sat down and we just started talking. And just the reminder that it doesn't matter where we call home, what we do with our days. When you sit down and share a meal, you're just two people sitting down and sharing a meal.
That's
and
right.
a conversation.
That's right. Were there any other stories from the night that really sort of captured the spirit of the event, or ones that you remember and hold on to?
I just remember having worked the registration table, I could see that kind of hesitancy for something so new for anybody who didn't know what it was, and they were just curious, and they would maybe edge a little closer and kind of figure out is this something that I can come to? Is this a closed event? And I think that's something that we talked about very early on, was trying to make sure we had as low barrier as possible. So anybody that was interested, that's why it was free. That's why all the food was donated by the table hosts. I mean, we really wanted to make sure that was there. So we had balloons and everything at the registration table. So it was that welcome, are you here to have dinner with us? Well, I'm not sure. Okay, well, it's free. Please have a seat if you would like. You can go and find whatever you want. And then later on, I just walked up and down the center aisles. Since I wasn't a table host, I got to pick and choose and kind of visit a lot of tables and got quite a lot of food from the different ones too. I got pumpkin pie from somebody and chili from somebody else. And but there was a vibrancy on the street that night. We had the music. We had Pastor Kyle and his band playing the music, and it was just a wonderful feeling. There was a buzz, just a happy kind of atmosphere that lasted for a couple of hours. Yeah. And it was really kind of sad to be, when we were done, be like, oh, well, that's done. But one more little thing. At the very end, people are starting to pack up, and I see a whole group on the side of the church, and I'm like, oh, is there like an after party to the longest table? Are we doing dessert? And there were some baby raccoons in the tree on the front, and a lot of the kids who were still around were trying to see what that was about. And so it was fun to kind of see nature get involved too. I mean, they stayed away. Nobody was ever
for their longest table event.
They were ready
wasn't for them either. This go around.
But it was just really, it was just really neat to be outside downtown on the street having dinner with everybody, and to just walk around and see everybody having these really intimate conversations with people they had just met.
I love it. I know that one of my favorite moments of the night, we had several of our teenagers that brought a football with them, and we were over on the plaza at the building right across the street from our church house at 500 West 5th, and they were throwing the football back and forth, and the police officer that was on duty to help us out and make sure we were all safe and secure just got in on the fun. And there for a while, the police officer and the teenagers were throwing the football back and forth, and it was, again, such a lovely moment of connection to see. Okay, so while we're talking to Race and Bethany, let's continue with what we have to anticipate from the community engagement ministry team. Are there other ways in the coming year that you all want to kind of continue this movement that we have had with the longest table to keep pressing us out in the community? Like, what do we have to look forward to from you all?
That is still in conversation, and we're always open for ideas. So if you're watching this and you have ideas, but I think just overall, our goal as a outreach team is to make sure that we don't silo and wall ourselves off. As a congregation.
That's right.
So we have a big push, I think, within not just our committee, but within the larger church as well, to almost get hyper-focused on our immediate community. So when things are going on in downtown Winston-Salem, how are we showing up for those events? So that could be anything from, local festivals like Bookmarks or the Pride Festival, et cetera, to also one-off community events that we either open our doors up to host, which we have done in the past, or we offer our support in some capacity just to show that neighborly love and that we are here to be a part of this community and not just to exist in this place on Sunday mornings and no other time outside of that. So that's kind of what I would say. I don't know if you add anything to that.
Exactly that. I think it's to help lower the bar for when people haven't been inside our space before, or maybe they are one of our online worshipers and are able to come for something. They feel a sense of connection already when they come in. Every time we open those doors, it's a way to bring the community a little bit closer to us. I think the ideal outcome for our group would be that when somebody in the community drives by our church, they can point and say, "Oh, that's where so-and-so goes to church." Or, "Oh, that's the group I saw at the front of the Pride Parade. That's where those were the people I met at X, Y, and Z." And so I think our building becomes a symbol of us rather than we becoming just stuck inside the building. I think that's our ultimate goal.
I love it. Thank you so much for creating that good space and giving us a lot to look forward to as we continue this good work. Speaking of things to look forward to, Mary, tell us what else is coming in this 100th anniversary year.
Yeah, so our 100th task force has something planned each month between now and May.
Okay.
So there is a way to get involved in our celebration for the next few months. I won't go through every single one, but I'll highlight a few. In November, we're going to have a Thanksgiving potluck meal and a bazaar that we will feature church members' handmade goodies as well as some mission partners. And we'll gather together again for a meal. We Baptists love to gather around a table and share food and celebrate. In January, we'll have a retrospective kind of visual display around the sanctuary. And we're working on kind of putting together by the decades of the past 100 years important pictures and documents that help walk through the history of this church house. In March, we're going to be hearing from organizations who were birthed out of our building, who continue to do good work in our community. Each Sunday, we'll feature a different mission organization, as well as challenge the congregation to give 100 hours in service. There are lots of other ways that we are going to be marking this celebration as well. We will have a number of special celebratory items that we'll have, including a blanket or a lapel pin. We're doing a new cookbook, a new...
There's a common theme here around food.
In fact, what we didn't share is that we kicked off the celebration in September with
a meal. We're bookending in May with a meal. We like to eat in a Baptist church.
If your body is fed, your soul is fed.
There you go. That's
you are
it.
nourished for the journey and the ministry.
Yes.
That's it.
So there, every month between now and May,
Great.
there is a way to get involved in our celebration.
Awesome. Where do we go to find all that information?
All of that is on our website, firstonfifth.org.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, friends, thank you so much for taking some time today to share not only about the anniversary and all that we can expect this year, but about the longest table and how it captured really the heart and soul of the work that the community engagement ministry team is doing and the hope that you have for our church moving forward. Friends, as you're listening, know that we have some upcoming podcasts that will further tell stories about this 100th anniversary theme, as well as a special feature with our church historian, Paul McCraw, walking through these 100 years and giving an oral history of what they have provided for our church. So stay tuned. Thank you for listening, and catch us next time on the First Baptist on Fifth podcast. Goodbye. Good job, everybody.